I laughed my ass off at how he just tore these people apart. He's just like, he's got the swagger. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, he certainly doesn't care. That's for sure.
That's the thing. I mean, he obviously is fearless.
Yeah,
he's got fearless dominance.
Let's take a break right here, David. Our guest tonight, David Wilcock. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Ascension Mysteries, and let's go and actually have a good time for the second half of the show. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent Talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of brown rust stains in your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. HydroCare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, David Wilcock. Always a great conversation. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Follow David at David_Wilcock. Email is Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. And David, I want to talk about the Ascension mysteries. But the first question is the honest one. Why this book now?
Well, the subtitle of the book is Revealing the Cosmic Battle Between Good and Evil. In my previous 2 books, I kind of danced around the Cabal. I talked about it to some degree. I mean, I engaged it pretty strongly in Synchronicity Key because I explained that the universal mind is written to have this story in it that we're all going to have to go through as part of our hero's journey. That's the name that Joseph Campbell gave it.
Right.
We are the hero, and the hero's journey is our... Sorry, I'm like using the sync while I'm on the air. That's very unprofessional. See, the hero has flaws. That was one of my flaws, and the perfection process involves learning how to transcend those flaws, and there's also a villain, which is the projection of the hero's flaws exaggerated. So there's always a villain in the story. So the universe has to make sure that those villains exist. So I was going to write another book, and my original intent, which I'd sold to the publisher, was to publish this very bizarre information about the cosmic history of our solar system. And there is a war going on, and there's good guys and bad guys. So we have these inner Earth beings that you could think of as Nordics because they look basically that way. And they've been around for a long time, millions of years. And they are in a war that has gone on for a very, very long time against the Draco. And that war has been brought to our planet. So we got good guys and bad guys, and the Nordics have posed as angels, and the Draco have posed as demons. And so I was just going to write a book about that. And then, when I went to Canada last September, I was told that I needed to include the story of my own addiction and recovery experience, and then weave in how the Cabal and how these traumatizing things, just like what you were talking about, Jimmy, can drive people to doing increasingly unethical behavior and to be increasingly depressed. And then what happens is depression is anger turned inward and anger turned against the self. And that's the root of addictive behavior, behavior that gets us high, gets us off somehow, but is harming ourselves in the process. And unfortunately, our society is replete with choices of things that can make us feel good, but we also know that they're causing damage. And this is intentional by design. So why is this happening? Well, this gets back to what is the real purpose of life on Earth? And when people used to get psychic readings from me back when I offered that, I stopped in 2005. I had way too much demand. Couldn't do it anymore. But prior to that point, for 8 years, I'd done this as a profession. And I would speak on behalf of angelic beings who could use me as their instrument. And if anybody out there can prove that they could really do this well, I'm one of those people. Because I have prophecies of Fukushima, prophecies of 9/11 that were documented on my website well in advance. Very specific. So that's a good litmus test for the fact that something's going on that's actually accurate. So anyway, these beings are guiding us. There's higher beings in the universe that are guiding us through spiritual evolution. And the planet, the life on Earth, is ultimately about learning to be loving. And that seems kind of hokey. The Cabal has definitely taken these religious ideals and they've made them seem ridiculous. And, well, why wouldn't you want to be like an NBA All-Star and have millions of dollars? Well, guess what? If you start screwing a bunch of women, you start ripping people off, and the women are brokenhearted because you tell them that you're going to marry them or you get them pregnant and then you dump them, you're not going to be an NBA All-Star. You're going to come back in your next life and you're going to be eating grubs.
Yeah, you're going to be a slug, yes.
Yeah. So, although Pete Peterson does tell me that grubs, when they've been roasted inside banana leaves, are actually extremely delicious.
I've heard that too. They can be. Well, there you go, right? You come back and be eaten.
It's like a very, very delicious, crispy French fry. Is basically what they taste like.
That's funny.
Anyway, so we're having fun here.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is a couch conversation, right? We're hanging out. There's mood lighting. You know, we got incense burning. It's all happening.
It is. I have incense burning, and I'm in the dark. Absolutely.
So what are we here for? We got to know. We got to answer that question. What is the purpose of this life? Well, it's not about being the NBA All-Star. It's not about gathering money. It's not about becoming famous. I mean, I talk about that in the book, meeting Metallica. And these guys were prisoners of the tour bus. They were on tour for a year with no breaks, no vacation. Every 2-3 nights they're on stage again, on stage again, on stage again for a year. So we think, oh, yeah, these guys are amazing. But I met them, and they were suffering. And I met many, many, many rock stars growing up because my father would write about rock and roll, and then they'd let us go backstage because we were promoting for them. So I met all these guys, and I can tell you, almost everybody on tour, they fucking hated it.
Right.
It was not, I probably shouldn't drop the F-bomb on your radio show. I apologize. But,
beep, beep.
Nobody liked being on tour. I never saw people that were happy about it.
It's good. It's always good the first week, right? The first week, you get into the second week, man, and you are at each other's throats. And I know
my point is, look, the things that we are told will make us happy do not. I call it Elvis Maryland syndrome. The people we know by their first names. And what do? They both died alone and drug addicted and miserable.
Right.
So the things that society tells us that we're supposed to want don't make us happy. So, in fact, I probably would be happier if I had a simple life than doing what I'm doing. I get all kinds of crazy things that come at me from every direction all the time. I've got death threats all the time. I've got people hating on me on the internet all the time. It's not easy to see that stuff. And so to some degree, I just have to shield myself from it.
Sure. And
so what is the purpose of life on Earth? Ultimately, it's about enlightenment. We're here to become enlightened. We're here to figure it out, that this is a hologram, and there's some permeability to the veiling between the self and the greater higher self. And once you find that permeability and you find a way to look in and see what's really going on, it blows your mind because it's a whole different reality. And that reality commingles with ours, but we normally don't see it, and we're also being trained by the cabal not to see it because they want us to be spiritually ignorant. They require our ignorance in order to profit. If we know too much, if we're psychic, then we're going to see through their propaganda.
Right. And I know that you touch upon this in the Ascension Mysteries, but going back to ancient Egypt, they actually had it right for almost 3,000 years.
They certainly had an orderly society in which there was a much greater appreciation of the intuitive arts.
That's right.
I don't know if they had it all right. I mean, I think I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday about that the third dimension is built to be messed up. It's not built to be clean. It's not built to work well.
Chaos.
It's built to have obvious problems that trigger awakening, that trigger spiritual awareness.
That's right.
And these problems inspire us to get up off the chair and go do something to help out. Because in the early days of the universe, and this is now the Law of One philosophy, which is my core spiritual text, I believe is the most accurate text out there. It's validated hundreds of scientific data points and hundreds of insider data points. It's the defining text that's out there, in my opinion. And what we know from the Law of One is that we don't get a free lunch. We got to work hard. We got to spiritually evolve. We got to learn the things that we're here to learn. But when we do that, the universe is mandated to give us good karma. It's mandated to pay us back. So most people's ideas about reality are really like barely even scratching the surface of the actual holographic thing that's going on. And karma is the absolute law. So we are in a holographic feedback system in which the things that we do will be brought back to our awareness in a different way by a seemingly mysterious cause and effect principle. The cabal is the group that gets to be the effect when we screw up. So they don't want us to learn about this because ultimately they need authorization to do what they do. We have to give them authorization to do evil. And they know this. So their whole system is built around getting this to happen. The obverse side of the coin is that as you become more awakened, as you become enlightened and you start to see through this stuff, you have the opportunity to authorize positive karma, and you can earn your way into a much more enlightened life where you're actually going to be a lot happier. And I've done a lot of clearing and a lot of work on myself and a lot of work on the core intrinsic aspects of my life. And there have been some situations in my life that you and I know about, Jimmy. I'm not going to say it publicly. We already discussed this before the show.
Right.
But as you now know, I have crossed several major milestones in my life, and as a result, I have created a vastly better life for myself than what I had before. And so I've proven to myself once again that if you apply these principles diligently enough, which is not just about being loving and forgiving, it's also about boundaries. It's about knowing when to say no and being able to enforce that no with action. And that's what we're needing to do now with the cabal. We don't want to hate them. We don't want to create xenophobia. We don't want to say that they're all shape-shifting reptiles. That's not true. Biological life does not shape-shift. There are some intuitives that can see when a reptilian Draco is coupled with a physical human, and they'll see an overlay of the face, but that's an intuitive view. That is not a physical shapeshift. And actually, when I explained that to David Icke, he started saying that. But then other people who were still believing some of the ideas that he had originally still say, oh yeah, there's physical shapeshifting going on. That's not true. And it's not going to do us any good to view these people as all being equally culpable, because they're not. This is a very, very important point. We've mentioned the cabal a lot tonight. I want to touch on this. The majority of the people that are the actual foot soldiers in this organization who are making things happen, they would flee in a mass exodus if they had the chance to get out. They don't like it. They don't want to be doing it. They do their jobs, but they do them reluctantly, and they say, this is just so crazy. So we are on the verge of some very, very stunning public revelations about what's been really going on with our planet. And when people learn this stuff, people who have not been paying attention, people who have been sleeping, people who are not listening to shows like this, they're going to have a really, really hard time. Because at that point, it's the man in the bedroom. You walked in on your loved one, and they're having sex with somebody else. And you cannot deny it now. You see it right in front of you. That's the level of betrayal that people are going to feel when they realize, oh my God, food is a weapon. I've been eating a weapons system. Citric acid, wheat, dairy. They've weaponized this shit. You can't eat that stuff. You've got to be very, very careful about what you eat because they have put this stuff out there to reduce population. I mean, there's a lot of things they're doing. People don't realize this. They think they're saving the world. They think that by putting this stuff out there, like genetically modified corn and all this stuff that they do, you know, there's a protein in wheat called gliadin that is as addictive as heroin, and it causes your thyroid to shut down, which means you don't have any energy, which means you're always angry and cantankerous and depressed. So you get off the wheat, all of a sudden you're going to start feeling better. You're going to lose weight because now you're not overeating. But getting off of that stuff, and sugar is another one that's just really, really hard to kick. Now you can supplement sugar with healthy stuff, and we talked about this before. I remember, Jimmy, you asked me, what about chocolate?
Yeah.
Well, you can get this stuff called raw chocolate, and it's actually really good, and it's sweetened with the right stuff. It's low glycemic. It's not going to be a weapon. It's not going to hurt your body. But I think the best explanation of the weapon system I ever got was from an insider who I call Jacob, and he explained that if you start deploying like the traditional Western fast food into a primitive culture that ultimately had been eating the same old traditional foods for thousands of years, if they're on their traditional food, they will fight down to the last child throwing rocks at the tank. As soon as you give them the weapon system, you can roll right over them, and they're not even going to resist.
Yeah, they defeated me with Captain Crunch. I'm a beaten man, David. They topped it off with Haagen-Dazs.
You can't ignore that this stuff is addictive. You can't ignore that this stuff is destructive.
Right.
You know, and in my book, I describe what it was like being an overweight kid where everybody else was not overweight, and I was very, very ruthlessly teased for my weight. And I actually lost 85 pounds starting about the middle of age 15 on through age 16, and it was very, very difficult. But I did it by avoiding certain things. And I didn't even exercise, which I really should have done, because then it would have supercharged the whole process a lot more. But
and I can't imagine you 85 pounds heavier. You know, it's 8 turkeys hanging off your body. You know that.
I had a visible double chin. I didn't even have to pull my jaw in towards my neck. I just had a double chin, straight up.
Now, what advice?
I had the moobs, I had the spare tire, the whole thing.
You had the whole thing, huh?
Yep.
What advice could you give right now to the audience about? It's not as simple as just do the right thing, right? It's not as simple as that, but to start that path of doing the right thing, what advice could you give?
Okay. A lot of the stuff that we've been talking about is technique, but it's not soul. So if you're going to be a musician, we can have that discussion talking about how a guy can learn amazing chops on the guitar, right? He can play anything that he hears on the radio. He's fast. His fingers are amazing. That's technique. But can he hold one note and sustain it and milk that note to the point that the audience is just cooing with ecstasy?
Right. Or crying.
That's soul.
Right.
A technician is just going to go, and it's like, it's nothing. He's blown his wad at the very beginning, and once you know that he can do it that fast, it quickly loses its charm. It doesn't have a story. So a lot of the things that I've been telling you about, like weaponized food, all that, that's technique. The soul is really how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about others, and those two things are very interlinked. So what I keep telling people is, you can listen to all kinds of stuff. You can follow all kinds of metaphysics. You can get really, really into the deep aspects of wisdom. But ultimately, the goal is to learn to love yourself. And that's a very hard thing to do. The cards are stacked against us because we are heavily conditioned to be very involved in what other people think about us. And that can be a prison. And one of the terms for that is codependency, where we become dependent upon others' perspectives of us. And then what do codependents do? They go out and they rescue. They want to find people who want to give away their responsibility. They want to be rescued. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to take responsibility. They want you to do it for them. This has been one of my problems that's come up in my life over and over again, is I have a lot of personal power. I'm a very dynamic, motivated guy. I want every 10-minute block of my day to be as productive as possible. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to just hang around. But I didn't get this way by hanging around.
And you're also, I'm going to say this right now, you're also a cool guy. And and let me say this. And when I was doing the introductions for you out of Contact in the Desert, what I wanted the audience to understand foremost about you is that you have built a wall out there, but it's not a wall out of ego, right? That you want to communicate, you want to interact, you have never said no to me, right? And
that's true.
Yeah, that's right. And you've always wanted to talk and hang out with everybody, and that is that also can work against you, right?
There is a difficulty that I have in that I don't really consider myself a celebrity. I mean, I'm starting to hear that term being used. Like the people that do Ancient Aliens are trying to get me to go to this thing they're going to call Alien Con, like Comic Con.
Right.
It's a big tentpole type of event. And they want me to be the celebrity, right? I still haven't said yes. I'm thinking about it, and I probably will do it, but I haven't actually confirmed it yet. But this whole celebrity thing's coming up a lot. Like, am I a celebrity? Well, okay, I'm on Ancient Aliens. I'm in every episode of the show. It's the most popular show on History Channel, so yeah, kind of. But I would, in terms of like traditional elephant reptilian media, no, I'm like Z-list. I'm a nobody. Right?
Right. Right.
You're not going to hear my name being talked about in these gossip rags. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So, okay. Why do I do what I do? The reason why I do what I do is to try to affect the greater good, the greater consciousness. So even though I don't think of myself as a celebrity, it's very hard for people to understand how much attention is coming my way. I've got hundreds of thousands of people beating down my door trying to get to me. I cannot engage. It's way too complex. When I stay after an event and I meet 300 people all at once, probably at least a quarter of them have business proposals. And they want me to say yes right on the spot. They don't even want to submit a written outline of what they want to do. They just want a yes. And I can't do that. So it's tough for people because I make a personal connection with my audience. I always do. And if you go to my events, there's a good chance that I might stay there at the end and meet everybody. But no, I mean, if I tried to even have friends, I really don't have friends because I just don't have time. In order to stay on top of all this stuff that's going on, in order to be as effective as possible in my chosen capacity of service, it requires an incredible investment of time and energy. And, I mean, I went on that Messenger app today on my iPhone, looking at the Facebook stuff. Hadn't been there in a while. It only took a matter of seconds for somebody to say, "Oh, my God, you're online."
Right.
And then I'm like, "Oh, shit, I didn't turn that off."
Right. I and I am guilty of the same thing. And then I feel guilty when because the second you turn it on, and everything starts flooding in, that I don't respond back. And they know that I'm there. They know that you're there, right?
Well, I'm going to give away a secret. I was just talking about this the other night, but it's a very, very important thing. And it goes back to ancient Hollywood wisdom from silent film era. What they found was that if these guys actually answered the letters of their fans, like somebody writes in a letter to Charlie Chaplin, right? Charlie Chaplin writes back, "Oh, my God, Charlie Chaplin wrote me back." Then he gets 5 more letters. And then if you don't answer those letters, the people are really, really hurt. And this is where almost every obsessed stalker comes from. The people that actually will, like George Harrison, right? One of the Beatles. He got stabbed to death in his in his house. He got stabbed to death in his house by a stalker. So you have to be aware that there are people who get fanatical, and if there's kind of that aura of, well, maybe he'll respond at some point, that's actually kind of better than responding to one letter and then people think they've been chosen for something without realizing, well, wait a minute, dude. We're getting like 500 of these a day.
Right.
I can't answer 500 letters a day. It's like having homework, but you're never gonna pass. Right? You just keep doing homework all the time, but you're never going to pass the class. Because there's always going to be too much homework to finish.
Yeah, and which was back to my point when I was doing the introductions for you, in that it's not that that David does all he wants to do is talk. Right? That's what
true.
And I'm
you
really
saw that at our private party there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just talked to everybody who wanted to talk to me. I wasn't like, there was no ego, there was no arrogance, there was no, well, I don't want to talk to that dude. Come on.
That was actually
anybody ask me a question, I say, yeah. You want to know something? Here's what I know. It's a weird thing, because in the early days, I used to engage with everybody as much as I could. I tried to respond to every letter. I tried to engage everybody. But there is some kind of a critical waterline that you can reach where it just becomes mathematically impossible. And if you look at the fact that when I write an article, I get 100,000 unique views in 24 hours.
Right.
That's proof of what I'm talking about. That's a large number. That's more people than are watching most of all the cable networks. Like CNN only has like 24,000 people actually watching their shows.
Yeah.
So I'm like 400% more powerful than CNN if you look at it from that vantage point.
I brought this up, and we're going to hit a break. You know what? Let's do something I don't think I've ever... You want to take a couple phone calls after the break?
Yeah.
Let's do that. About 6 months ago, when Al Jazeera was going to, start closing their network down, and I was reading the numbers, at any given point, Al Jazeera, the network, had 7,000 people watching.
Oh, my God.
And you think about the influence that this show has, or you have, right? And I'm looking at Al Jazeera at 7,000 people, and we were, 10 or 15 times. That's
Mickey Mouse.
Right,
Mickey Mouse.
Right. It's mind-blowing. Let's take a break right here, and I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we'll have time for a few phone calls before the end of the night.
I'll crack my knuckles, and I'll be ready to go. Title fight. Here we go.
Let's do it. 323-825-5045. Taking your phone calls next with David Wilcock. Get in line. Do it now. I'll be right back.
You are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com, mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave, Wave Home Solutions, for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, David Wilcock. And it's really kind of funny. When I say that David doesn't mind talking, he said, let's take some phone calls. So let's do just that. Let's go straight to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to David Wilcock.
Hi, this is Michael from Santa Fe. I just wanted to say, David, if Donald Trump cannot bring jobs back to America and create the industrial base, then, and open up the suppressed patents in the patent office, if that's not a foreseeable future, what do you envision? What will be the transition from what we have now to that Star Trek lifestyle that you've...
Oh, man, I mean, yeah, Michael, the transition I'm envisioning is so much bigger than anything that Trump could do by winning an election. I mean, it's like, that's only really kind of a flag showing that people are so upset about the traditional system that they're willing to go to a complete outsider who is not really a politician, who doesn't have prior political experience, who's not one of the old guard.
But is that necessary for the corporation of America not to be run by a corporation head like Trump, who went from $1 million to $10 billion? I mean, doesn't anything he says about bringing us out of that $19 trillion debt to the Federal Reserve? I mean, what's going to set that?
Yeah, I mean, look, as far as I know, Trump does know about these global collateral accounts. He understands that there's this massive amount of off-ledger gold that's being held. You know, the official gold in the world is 1 Olympic-sized swimming pool. The unofficial amount of gold is 13.5 Olympic swimming pools worth of gold that actually exists on Earth. And that means there's enough collateral to completely reboot the global economy and give everybody a happy job and a comfortable life. And with those suppressed technologies, we can give people the ability to develop without ruining the planet in the process.
Yeah,
and I've had classified insiders tell me... What's that?
What will open up the patent office and get those security standards off those suppressed patents? How will that get into the actual manufacturing and entrepreneurial?
Yeah, I mean, I understand your question, and there's a way we could double click on your question and try to expand into a much greater, deeper thought form, which is, yes, the core of your question, Michael, is this is a massive change we're talking about. And in order for something like this to actually happen in real, three-dimensional, hard, everyday reality, it is so unprecedented that we can barely even envision how it would take place. It would have to be a totally awesome, something equivalent to like a coup.
Hey, Michael, let me jump in and just say thank you for the phone call. I've got a bunch of calls lined up here, and I just wanted to thank you in advance. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, David. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah. I'm just going to take these in order. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to David Wilcock.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live right now. Say hi to David.
Yeah. Hey, hi, David. Hi, Jimmy. I've got a question for you. This is going to probably sound really stupid.
What's your name first?
David,
yeah, what's your name?
Oh, I'm Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, all right.
Hi. Hey, this is going to sound really dumb, but is there any place in California, Northern California to be specific, where I live near San Francisco, that's safe, that's clean? I kind of don't trust where I am and the water. They've been putting chloramide in the water for many years now in the Bay Area where I am. And I'm just curious. I would love to know that there is a place where I can go and not too far away, that's healthier, that's safer.
I want to hear this answer, David.
Well, you have to understand that my job really is more for the collective than for the personal. Certainly, there are probably places that are cleaner, but one of the problems we have is, among all the other stuff that's happened, the U.S. government did above-ground nuclear explosions. And so no matter where you go, there's trace radioactive elements in everything. So, like, my favorite place to go to really get into nature is Banff, which is this area in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. The U.S. government does intend, the cabal part has this area. It started out as a joke, but they call it Mormania. And it's basically like Montana, Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming. That whole area, it's very rural. There's not a lot of people there. But that's probably the cleanest part of America in terms of that sense. But in the greater sense, I want to speak to the core of your question so it becomes a universal answer, not just a personal answer. And that is this.
Well, yeah, because I agree with you. The collective is so important because it's not just about me. It's about everybody.
Sure. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, which is like the belly of the beast, right? But I'm here. And, yeah, they're chemtrailing the sky. That's absolutely true. I had insiders try to get me to justify chemtrailing to the public. I haven't done that. But I was told allegedly why they were doing it, that they put these particles in the air, they thump it with HAARP, and it creates a Tesla shield against psychotronic weapons from extraterrestrials and from foreign adversaries. That's what they were trying to get me to tell people. Oh, don't worry about it. It's not dangerous. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
Mary, I've got calls backed up here. Mary Ann, thank you for the phone call, and it was a great one.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for everything. Bye.
You got it. Let's keep this going. Hi, Hi. You're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to David Wilcock.
Foreign adversaries. That's what they were trying to get me to tell.
Hi. Hold on a second. I got to turn off the studio domes.
There you go.
And then I got to turn off the computer too. Hold on a second. I'm
quickly.
Okay, I have a question for David about.
What's your name, first of all?
Hold on just a second here.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. Just let me turn this off. There. I turned off the studio dome and then my computer went on.
What's your name?
I'm Allison.
Hi, Allison.
And hi. Sorry about that confusion. My question is, and this is kind of back to the information encoded in the photons. I've been thinking about this, and it occurred to me that maybe some of the genetic manipulation that went on with our species early in the game that kind of, and I don't know whether this is right or not, but there's a theory out there that we were at one time 12-stranded. And, of course, I have this theory that the 10 of these strands were broken off and became our junk DNA. The junk DNA was then utilized and programmed as part of a biological replicating IA internal system that encouraged us to keep our awareness not, I don't want to say lower, but I mean, you know how we all become invested in what's going on now and how people are all enraged and all their emotions are revved up. And I have a feeling that this might be a program in our junk DNA that was put there on purpose. But I also have a feeling that
we do have a long line, and I'm not hearing a question yet. How does this turn into a question?
Yeah, Allison.
Well,
question.
I want to know if this is true. If you think there's any truth to this, and if it is possible that this DNA, we can heal our other 10 strands of it by refusing to activate those programs, by keeping our thoughts, by simply deciding not to go there and being more loving and being more compassionate. And that would also heal the 10 strands. They'll start to come together. All
right, so we can talk about 12-strand DNA a little bit. That is as far as I can trace it, that is a thought form, that is a construct of belief that started with the work of Barbara Marciniak, Bringers of the Dawn, and then there was another book called Earth that she wrote. I cannot confirm that there are extra strands of DNA. My research into DNA makes me think that there are not. But I think that the underlying core of why this meme has become so popular, that there is a lot of truth in it. The DNA can evolve dramatically, and it can be transformed, and it is transforming. I think that when we start to get too wrapped up in technicalities about DNA, we're back to my discussion of music, in which you got to look at soul rather than technique. So what you're describing as an AI influence or something that's embedded in junk DNA, all those things could be. It could be that there is some kind of negative. There are definitely negative codes in our DNA. We know this from the fact that ETs have been modifying our DNA for thousands and thousands of years. However, the universe is built to be a positive, rewarding system, so that when you reach out spiritually to your own core and you find that love within yourself, and you can love yourself, and then you can radiate that forward and start loving others, the hologram coheres to you and starts to reward that. And that blows out all of that negative crap so that it's not going to affect you. We have been trained, unfortunately, by a lot of NSA people that create fake YouTube videos, fake blogs, fake channeling, fake UFO data. We've been trained to think that the negative is a lot more powerful than it really is. And ultimately, we control how this thing turns out, and the whole universe is a holographic hall of mirrors that shows us ourselves, maybe in a little bit of a distorted way, but basically it's only going to do what we authorize.
Thank you for the call, Allison. Excellent question.
And thank you, David, very much. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Allison. One more phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Quickly, what's your question for David? What's your name?
Hi, my name is Timothy, and my question is, does mass consciousness awakening trigger the event, or does the event trigger mass consciousness awakening?
Oh.
Well, it's like chicken or the egg.
Right.
Thanks, Timothy. Okay, well, first of all, we'd have to operationally define the event. And I think, you and I essentially agree on this. There's two things on the Internet that people use when they're talking about the event. One would be mass arrests, and the other would be ascension involving some sort of release of energy from the sun that's very bright light. I think you're probably talking about the ascension event, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting discussion that I really tackle in the new book like never before, not just with scientific data, but also a wide variety of insider testimony. So many people on the inside at the high levels of classification, they know that the sun is going to do something like this. They know this is going to happen, but nobody agrees on exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I myself, to some degree, am bound, my hands are bound, because this hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if any of us will truly understand exactly what it is or exactly what will transpire until it does. But I do understand from how it's described in the Law of One and what they say about it there, and I believe this is the best source we have, that we can't look at ourselves as separate beings. We are synergistically connected to the Earth and our solar system as a one greater conglomerate being. And so our solar system itself is evolving. We are all being pushed through a vibrational upgrade. It has irreversible effects on us. And right now, everybody's having to deal with all their karma. All their old stuff is coming up in your face. And you're either going to deal with it and your life's going to get better, or you're going to resist the changes and your life's going to shatter apart. So this is a very intense time. And if you look at the relationship between those vibrational changes and what happens to us, the vibrational change is a fixed mathematical fact based in the scientific celestial mechanical alignments that are going on in this cloud of photons that we're moving into. This has been very thoroughly studied by these government entities. They know what it is, where it is, how it works. But nobody really knows when the sun is going to do its thing. There's a lot of speculation around the window of 2018 to 2023. That seems to be the most common window we're hearing. And it does appear, though, that the final determinant is ultimately mass human consciousness. And there will be, in my opinion, the way it's been trained to me by these cosmic beings is that we're going to see some very astonishing awakening events on Earth. And ultimately, we trigger the event. When we awaken as a collective, when we have that stunning, resplendent moment when the edifice of lies falls apart, we start seeing the truth, we find out all this cosmic stuff that we didn't realize, we then trigger the final shift to take place. So I think it is actually that the chicken lays the egg first.
Thank you.
Okay, great answer. I want to thank the both of you for your service to humanity. Thank you. Great job, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, Timothy. Thank you for the phone call. And, and we've avoided a couple of pretty dramatic sun belches, over the years.
Oh, I know.
And the last one, when was it? 2008, 2009?
Well, Jimmy, I don't think this is a CME. I think this is something very different. In the Hindu tradition, they describe a multicolored, a rainbow light emission from the sun, not just white light.
Right.
When I always read the Bible version of it and they say the light shineth from the east unto the west, I'm thinking, well, that's like very bright white light, but it apparently is colorful. So this is extremely different from a normal solar emission. It's some sort of it changes your consciousness and it changes your DNA and it changes your body. We're going to get new bodies. Right. And so getting back to the question that I believe it was, I think her name,
Allison.
I forget who it was. Yeah, Mary.
Oh, Mary Ann.
Yeah, when she was talking about the Northern California and is there any place safe to live? Well, look, you might only need your body for a few more years before you get a big upgrade. So, yeah, if it's got some poisons and toxins in it, just stay alive for like a couple more years and you'll be fine.
Right. David, when does the Ascension Mysteries release, and where can they pre-order it right now?
Yeah, so it is going to come out on August the 30th. I just got done with the audiobook last week. I'm very, very pleased with how I did the audiobook. They were blown away at the studio. And I think it's the best of the three audiobooks in terms of how I read it. Because there's a lot of personal information in it, I'd actually recommend, maxing out, getting the hardcover, getting the ebook, and getting the audiobook, just because each of them gives you something different. In the ebook, you can click on the links and you can go to the websites, and you also have readers now where you can read it in the ebook and hear me read it out loud at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which is awesome. So anyway, it's coming out August 30th, and the way to get it is, go to the usual suspects like Amazon.com. If you pre-order it, you get a big discount. So you save money, and you actually help us, because the number of orders that we get determines whether this ends up on the New York Times bestseller list. It probably already will, but it's better safe than sorry. So if you think you might want to read this book, I highly recommend ordering it now, and therefore it will be more likely to get on the bestseller list, which, believe me, you don't make money writing books. I mean, I'm one of the top 3 authors at this label, and I don't make that much off of this. So it's not about that, and all the haters try to say that. What it's about is credibility. Cheating on people, right? But 3 times is great. So it's like that builds credibility.
It certainly does. And, you bring up a good point. The last time I checked, you're not driving a Bentley convertible.
No. I have one car that's a 2002. I rent a house. I don't have multiple properties. I don't have multiple vehicles. I do have a couple really nice Martin guitars, but that's because I saved my money and I got them.
Right.
So, there's nothing outrageous going on here. Nobody in the fields that you are interviewing who are on your show, none of them are making big profit. That is a myth.
It is.
And it's a myth that is perpetrated by the people who actually have godzillions of dollars.
That's right.
So look back on who is pointing the finger and recognize that you might think that I am nuttier than squirrel shit, but what am I doing? I'm out there with my real name. I'm not hiding behind some stupid internet handle like, Paleo Vegan 101 or whatever, I'm David Wilcock. That's my real name. I have a birth certificate. It's not a pseudonym. I'm not saying that I'm David Stardancer, right?
Right.
I'm out there pointing my finger at these people that you already know are obviously evil. I'm risking my life to do this because I care about humanity and because I want to see this world become a better place. And I know there are spiritual laws where these people, the cabal people, are not allowed to shoot the Red Cross workers. That means that if I stay on the good side, if I actually live by my message, which is like being an Olympic athlete, if I live by my message, then they cannot hurt me. And so what happens is the people around me get compromised. And so I am now in the process of building a team of people who are, and you have to be. If you're gonna get close to me, you got to be 100%. I can't work with less than 100%. It's just not going to happen. Because if you do that, you start to authorize all kinds of stuff against yourself, because the work that I'm doing is on the front line. Like I said, I'm not a celebrity. By those terms, I would be Z-list at best. I'd be no better off than in some garbagey reality TV show where they make me eat banana slugs in the jungle.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be the new TV show, David Wilcock, the Z-list. Hey, David, really quick, before I let you go, Truth Seeker just tweeted, she says, please, David, give us a little nugget of your favorite content in the Ascension Mysteries.
Sure. This is an unbelievably intense book. I have never done anything like this before. I am proving myself every step of the way. I show multiple pictures that were dazzling. I mean, I had this guy in the audio control room who had never seen this stuff before. He didn't know anything about this stuff. He was blown away. These artifacts on the moon, these gigantic crystal obelisks on the moon, we have pictures of that. We have pictures of buildings on the moon that are so strikingly artificial, there's just no way you can debunk this stuff. I've got every major insider who's ever given me information, all the juiciest, hottest things that they've said, all organized, all compiled into a single long story narrative. That's the whole second half of the book is like that. It's unbelievable.
I can't wait to read it.
It's like a full disclosure in a book. It's going to make it impossible for the cabal to do a partial disclosure. I draw from so many different insiders, so many different whistleblowers on public record. I give you the links to what they said, where you can read it, where you can watch the video, and I put it all together. And Jimmy, you know me. I mean, like, I'm an excellent chef. I can take all kinds of weird ingredients and make the best damn meal you've ever had in your life.
Right.
And this is what I've done here.
Thank you so much, man. It was another great conversation, and thank you for hanging out and taking phone calls and everything. And
hey, I like it. You know, I mean, nobody really broke my balls. I was a little worried about the Trump stuff, but you know,
me too.
Look, I mean, he's a buffoon, right? He is a buffoon, but the guy is not in the cabal. Apparently, this is what all the insiders are saying. And if he did get elected, he would start arresting a lot of people. So it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, we're in for a wild ride, however it plays out over the next 4 years, and it's going to be interesting. And now I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I think we might make some plans for later on in the week, and I'll talk to you about that. But until then, be safe and enjoy the rest of your evening, David.
Thanks, buddy, and thanks, everybody, for listening. I really want you out there to know that I do care about you. I'm fighting for you. I want you to be safe, and I want you to be happy, and I want you to have prosperity and all this great technology.
I'll talk
and
to you.
We're working for that.
Thank you so much, David. We went all the way to the end of the show. You're the best. Thank you, David.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
All right, later.
David Wilcock, everybody, went to the bloody end of the show. Thank you so much, David. Always great to have David on the show. And the point that I made before we brought David on tonight is that when we were talking earlier today, I'm telling you, you know, I've just been bumming out. And David just picked me up. And I just couldn't wait to get him on the show tonight. And we just needed that. We need to unplug. With that, I want to thank David. His website is divinecosmos.com. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com and click on his name. It'll take you straight over there. And the Ascension.